people like to meet each day.
I come from California, but frankly, I am made of Sesame Street, where one of the classic bits is the song about who are the people in your neighborhood. And it's the tennis player, it's the mail carrier, it's the firefighters who come to save you when you call, and the teachers who show you all about the alphabet. Your neighborhood, if it's a lot like a lot of the neighborhoods in this country, has been rearranged a bit since Wall Street blew up at the end of the Bush administration, and we got the Great Recession to show for it. Flint, Michigan, for example, is a tough neighborhood right now, one of the murder capitals of the country. Flint, Michigan has laid off most of its police force there. Paterson, New Jersey, same story. After a year in which violent crime surged, Paterson sent a quarter of its officers home this spring. The tiny town of Alto in Texas just eliminated its whole police force. We've talked about that before on the show. If you do a Google News search on police layoffs, and you can read about towns from Wenatchee, Washington to Newburgh, New York to the Port Authority of Virginia, all considering or going through with massive police layoffs. The thin blue line is getting still thinner across America. The Justice Department reporting today that some 12,000 police officers will lose their jobs this year, maybe more. It's the first decline in law enforcement jobs in America in 25 years. When President Obama sent his American Jobs Act to Congress, it included $35 billion for keeping teachers, cops, and firefighters on the job across the country. Republicans in the Senate blocked the Jobs Act, although Americans overwhelmingly say they want Congress to keep cops and firefighters and teachers on the job. When last week President Obama put just that one super popular provision into a new, smaller bill, the Senate rejected it yet again. So, showing every sign that President Obama gets that Congress is not going to pass his Jobs Act, either in big chunks or in bite-sized pieces, the White House today rolled out a new agenda for trying to help the economy, a new agenda that can get at least some things done without the help of Republicans in Congress. President Obama announcing in Las Vegas today that he'd use his authority as president to change the rules so more homeowners can rework their mortgages to make them more affordable instead of getting foreclosed on by the banks. Later this week, the president's expected to make changes that will help people deal with outsized student loans. Again, he is not asking Congress for their cooperation on this. He is just going for it by the power he has as president. White House spokesman Dan Pfeiffer writing, quote, using the mantra, "We can't wait," the president will highlight executive actions that his administration will take. He'll continue to pressure congressional Republicans to put country before party and pass the American Jobs Act, but he believes that we cannot wait, so he will act where they won't. It's a pretty clear challenge to Republicans, and Republicans today bit. They bit hard. The head of the Republican Party replying today, quote, "We can't wait to make Barack Obama a one-term president." He actually said that. Reince Priebus, head of the RNC. A year ago, almost exactly, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell called making President Obama a one-term president the Republican Party's number one priority for the nation. And they mean it. A year later, even, they mean it. And they are doubling down. So now at least everybody agrees on the two sides America has to choose from. We can't wait to work on jobs, or we can't wait to oppose the president. In the self-declared terms of both parties, that is your choice, America. Both sides agree. That is your choice. Joining us now is Bob Herbert, former New York Times columnist, now a distinguished senior fellow at Demos and a contributor to PolicyShop.net. Bob, it's nice to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Great to see you, Rachel.
I feel like it is a slur against the Republican Party to say their number one priority is getting rid of this president. And it is their self-identified raison d'etre, is their self-identified reason for being right now. I almost feel guilty saying it. What explains why they would be claiming this as the thing they want to be nationally known for?
You know, they're so obsessed, they almost don't care. They've really been consistent, as you just pointed out. They will do anything. They want to get rid of Barack Obama. They want to recapture the White House. I don't think they care about the economy. I don't think they care about this job situation. And obviously, they don't care about the problems that will come up if these cities and towns keep laying off police officers.
One of these things, this feels to me like one of these things where maybe it's Republican voters and the Republican base are not horrified by hearing it's not jobs, it's Obama who's the problem. but the rest of the country sort of sees that as crass. Is this one of those things where there is sort of a Republican set of mores and the rest of the country just really sees things differently? Or
it's hard for me to believe that the Republican electorate in toto would follow this line. I mean, I assume the majority of Republicans are in favor of this. Otherwise, the leadership, would maybe have a change of tune. They're looking at polls and that sort of thing. But, the elections are generally decided by these so-called middle-of-the-road voters, many of them suburban independents and that sort of thing. And the real craziness that we see going on in the Republican Party, some of which you were detailing at the top of the show, I think tends to frighten these voters, and then that tends to play towards Obama, who is seen as a reasonable person, whatever one thinks about the policies or some of the things that the administration is doing.
That has been, we've heard that again and again from the White House, I think, at some of their more candid moments, that even in the face of progressives pushing the president to be more combative, more pugilistic toward the Republicans, really calling them out. We have seen some of that. I think they see the downside of that is the president stopping seeming as reasonable as he does, that in scary times.
I think that's true. I mean, I'm one of the ones that wish the president had been more combative, But then you look at the Republican field and you almost can't believe, what you're seeing with the Rick Perry craziness and Herman Cain and Michelle Bachmann, although I guess Bachmann is over by now. But the real problem is, I mean, we know how combative politics has become, but the real problem is that a lot of the stuff the Republicans are dealing with now is really harmful to individuals and harmful to the national interest overall. I mean, the economy right now is in a very delicate situation, and economists tell us that there's a danger of another recession coming up over the next year or so. You start throwing these people out of work in state and local governments, for example, when in fact you could do something to prevent that. That just weakens the economy more. And then, I know there's controversy over over Joe Biden's recent comments, but the simple fact of the matter is, when you start slashing police forces the way some of these towns and cities have been doing lately, you do endanger public safety, and crime does tend to go up.
In terms of the White House's approach here, I would have thought that first responders, that's breaking out that first responders money would have meant that the first responders money would have passed. I was actually surprised that it did not get through the Senate because of the Republican filibuster there. But now the White House laying out steps that President Obama can take on his own, some smaller steps, frankly, on student loans, and potentially a larger step on housing. What do you make of that strategy?
I think it's the only thing he's got left to do, and I think it's smart, but I think it's primarily political. I don't think that it will save or a lot of jobs or create many jobs, and I don't think it will do much for the economy. But I think that what we've been watching recently has mostly been political. It's all about the presidential race. I mean, the truth is the Republicans were never going to pass the president's jobs bill. Whether, even now things can get so bad that they might pass one component or another, I don't know. But I think the Republicans have shown that they are willing to play chicken all the way and do things that are just out and out harmful to people if they think that it will help them capture the White House next year.
Bob Herbert, former New York Times columnist, distinguished senior fellow at Demos, and a contributor at PolicyShop.net. Bob, thank you for coming in.
Great to see you.
It's good to see you. All right, Susan Rice has one of the most difficult jobs in the world, particularly on days like this. She's America's ambassador to the United Nations. Right now, she is one of the best people in the world for me to get a chance to interview, and she is the interview on tonight's program. That's coming up.